Skyshell, 33. Subject, Kennel Cove. Local kids show. Does anybody remember this kids show? It was called Kennel Cove. I must have been 6 or 7. I never found any references to it anywhere. I think it was on a local station around 1971 or 2. I lived in Ireton at the time. I don't remember which station, but I do remember it was on at a weird time, like 4 p.m. Mike Painter, 65. Subject reply, Kennel Cove local kids show. Seems really familiar to me. I grew up outside of Ashland. I was 9 years old in 72. Kennel Cove was about pirates. I remember Pirate Marinette at the mouth of a cave talking to a little girl. Skyshell, 33. Yes, okay, I'm not crazy. I remember Pirate Percy. I was kind of scared of him. He looked like he was built from parts of other dolls, real low budget. His head was an old porcelain doll, like an antique that didn't belong on the body. I don't remember what station he was on, but I don't think it was WTSF though. Jaren, _2005. Sorry to resurrect this old thread, but I know exactly what show you mean. Skyshell, I think Kennel Cove ran for only a couple months. In 71, not 72, I was 12 and watched it a couple times with my brother. It was channel 58, whatever station that was. My mom would let me switch to it after the news. Let me see what I remember. It took place in Kennel Cove when it was about a little girl who imagined herself to be friends with pirates. The pirate ship was called the Laughingstock, and Pirate Percy wasn't a very good pirate because he got scared too easily, and there was cowlip music constantly playing. Don't remember the girl's name. Janice or Jade or something. I think it was Janice. Thank you, Jaren. Memories flooded back when you mentioned the Laughingstock in Channel 58. I remember the bow of the ship was a wooden smiling face with lower jaw merged. It looked like it was swallowing the sea, and it had that awful Ed Wynn voice and laugh. I especially remember how jarring it was when they switched from that wooden/plastic model to the foam puppet version that talked. Mike Painter, 65. Yeah, I remember that too. Do you remember this part, Skyshell? You have to go inside. Ugh, Mike, I got a chill reading that. Yes, I remember. That was what the ship always told Percy when there was a spooky place he had to go in, like a cave or a dark room where the treasure was, and the camera would push on the Laughingstock's face with each pause. You have to go inside. With his 2 eyes askewed and that flopping foam jaw and that fishing line that opened and closed it. Ugh. It just looked so cheap and awful. You guys remember the villain? He had that face, was just a handlebar mustache above a really tall, narrow teeth. Kevin _Hart. I honestly thought the villain was Pirate Percy. It was about 5 when the show was on. Nightmare Fuel. Jaren _2005. That wasn't the villain, the puppet with the mustache. That was the villain's sidekick. Horace Horrible. He had a monocle too, but it was on top of the mustache. I used to think that it meant he only had 1 eye. But yeah, no, the villain was another marionette, the Skin Taker. I can't believe that they let us watch that back then. Kevin _Hart. Jesus Christ. The Skin Taker? What kind of kids shows were we watching? Seriously, I could not look at the screen when the Skin Taker showed up. He just descended out of nowhere on his strings, just dirty skeleton wearing that brown top hat and cape. And his glass eyes that were too big for his skull. Christ. Skyshell, 33. Wasn't his top hat and cloak all sewn crazily? Wasn't that supposed to be children's skin? Mike Painter, 65. Yeah, I think so. Remember his mouth didn't open and close? His jaw just slid back and forth. I remember the little girl said, "Why does your mouth move like that?" And the Skin Taker didn't look at the girl, but the camera and said, "To grind your skin." Skyshell, 33. I'm so relieved that other people remember this show. I used to have this awful memory, a bad dream, where the opening jingle ended and the show faded in from black and all the characters were there, but the camera was just cutting to each of their faces and they were screaming. And the puppets and marionettes were flailing sporadically and just screaming. The girl just moaning and crying like she had been through hours of this. I woke up many times from this nightmare. I used to wet the bed from it when I had a Kevin _Hart. I don't think that was a dream. I remember that was an episode. Skyshell, 33. No, not possible. There's no plot or anything. I mean, literally just standing in place, crying and screaming for the whole show. Kevin _Hart. Maybe I'm manufacturing the memory because you said that, but I swear to God, I remember seeing what you described. They just screamed. Jaren, 2005. Oh God, yes, the little girl Janice. I remember seeing her shake and the Skin Taker screaming through his 9 teeth and his jaw careening so wildly I thought it would come off his wire hinges. I turned it off and it was the last time I watched it. I ran to tell my brother and we didn't have the courage to turn it back on. Mike Painter, 65. I visited my mom today at the nursing home. I asked her about when I was little in the early 70s, when I was 8 or 9, if she remembered a kid's show, Candle Cove. She said she was surprised I could remember that, and I asked why, and she said, because I used to think it was so strange that you said, I'm gonna go watch Candle Cove now, Mom, and then would go tune the TV to static and just sit there for dead air for 30 minutes. You had a big imagination with your little pirate show.